take absolute control over it. That the end glory, honor, and adoration will be given unto your name. This and many we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so thank you for that short words of prayer. And once again, you're all welcome. My name remains Ajman Kofi, and with my sister, Priscilla Mausinyamu, you will be your able moderators throughout the session. So first of all, I would once again welcome everybody, and I'll take this opportunity to first give out a brief description about what is actually meant by African Youth for Sustainable Development. And then from there, we would have President Mausinyavo to also actually call in the guest speakers to take us through the whole session. So first of all, African Youth for Sustainable Development is a registered non-governmental organization, yes, whose vision is actually to ensure that youth involvement in development processes that in a nation and in every jurisdiction they find themselves becomes a reality. And for that matter, today, with this vision, they in collaboration with a lot of partners, Women in Leadership, Professor Lamumba's Foundation, and a whole lot have made this conference possible. So today, if we have met here, it is because of the key vision of African Youth for Sustainable Development and an awesome support from all other stakeholders who have actually tendered in their support to make this a success. And also the availability from the side of our speakers to actually come in and tender in the experience and the knowledge that they have actually used about 20 to almost 30 years to acquire. So I would say that let's not take this whole process or session for granted, but let's make ourselves available. Let's get ourselves some pen or some book and also make our minds available to ask questions whenever they need be. Because it is said that because we lack knowledge, that is why we perish. So if today we are here to receive knowledge that we have taken 15 years and 20 years to acquire for free, I believe indeed it's an advantage on our side. So at this point, I would actually call on President Mausinyavo to come in and introduce to us our first guest speaker who will take us through the whole session. So President Mausinyavo, please take us through the introduction of the guest speakers and we sail through the whole session. Formally.
Okay, thank you very much, Kofi Atiman. So for today's section, we are going to have, first of all, our talk on leadership under the topic, implementing the best leadership style. And doing the delivery on this is our very own Aswell Anand, the CEO of Inspired Aswell Foundation and the PRO for the Joy for Fame Shipping Company Limited. Our speaker for today holds a degree in communication studies and is currently pursuing a Master of Science. Without much ado, I would like to call on Mr. Anand to give us the delivery for today on leadership under the topic, implement the best leadership style. Can we have you, Mr. Anand?
Yes, you can have me. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to register my appreciation to the organizers of this event. Because as Dr. Maswa clearly indicates, everything rises and falls on leadership. And for me, leadership of consequences clearly means that whatever we do may affect somebody positively or negatively. And before this very program, I had a discussion with the CEO and I made it clear to him that it is enough of the theoretical aspects when it comes to seminars. It is time for we to indeed come into reality, what is on the ground, daily aspect of leadership. And unfortunately, we don't have much time today. So quickly, I would like to start with my presentation, as I did indicate, Everything Rises and Falls on Leadership by Dr. Maswell. And I'm extremely excited to deliver note on leadership, most especially regarding how to implement the best leadership style. So first of all, somebody would like to ask who is a leader, the meaning of leadership. These are the things we know already. We have been taught in our various schools from second cycle up to where we find ourselves now. So it is now important for we to practicalize it. And basically, that is what I'm here to do. And for me, a leader is someone who can cause change in people's life, who can impact positively. And as far as I'm concerned, everybody is a leader, and depending on the circumstance that you find yourself. And the reason is that everywhere you find yourself, and you can cause change in people's life, you can direct people, you can guide them, clearly indicate that you're a leader. However, it can be classified as an effective leader or somebody who has contributed significantly in people's life, depending on what you have done. That is why we have so many leaders in this world. We have had so many leaders, but when you hear a name like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Kofi Annan, and others, there are certain impression that do come into our minds. But others too, when we hear their names, we in fact do not want to hear their names anymore, even though all of them were leaders, but depending on the impact that they made in people's life. So we have various leadership styles. We have democratic, autocratic, laissez-faire, and many more. And as we all know, when you talk of autocratic leadership, it talks about one-man show. And this type of leadership does not consult, do as I say. And it also has consequences on the outcome of whatever the leader does. But this particular leadership style is also significant in a certain aspect, even though it does not consult people by taking decision, implementation of the company's goals and vision. And this type of leader becomes very important when, for instance, you are dealing with inexperienced people, you are dealing with people who just got recruited in the company, or you are to take a hasty decision on the subject that you have the most knowledge in that particular aspect, then clearly autocratic in that regard is very significant for you. The emphasis on the most knowledge, when you know that basically that is your field, you know more, and the people you are dealing with are inexperienced, they are new there, and it's very crucial. And underlying word is also here is that it must be very crucial. Then autocratic becomes very important. And we also have a democratic aspect, where it talks about all inclusiveness. Everybody is consulted in terms of decision implementation of the company's goals are not centered at one center position. Everybody's opinion is well sought, and that is the democratic aspect. And in other breath, democratic in a way sometimes to also does not help in an instance where you want to take a crucial decision or you have to implement something which is very urgent. For instance, the COVID-19. We've had instances where some of the presidents of various countries, especially Ghana as well, took a decision which can be attributed in a way to autocratic at that moment because it was very crucial. The president, according to him, said it was urgent and therefore there was no need for them to consult the lawmakers to make such decision. So in that aspect too, democracy or democratic rule or leadership does not help in that instance. But in an instance which is very crucial and you have vast knowledge in that aspect or whatever you want to do, then democratic leadership style is recommended. What they call autocratic leadership style is recommended in that aspect because the disadvantage of it has to do with bureaucratic process that decision has to pass through. And in an instance where it is very urgent, you don't need to practice that one as well. And also talk about laissez-faire type of leadership where the leader virtually leaves everything in the hands of the subordinate to take in charge of whatever they do. In a way, it's good. It helps your subordinate to also acquire more knowledge, and they also feel that at least they are also boss on their own. But one thing that we should also critically take note of it has to do is that the outcome of the subordinate's decision or execution of tasks or goals can also be attributed to the leader, because whatever they do, we classify it as sanctioned by the leader. So that is what we have to also critically take a look at it. So in an instance where we have people that you also want to assist them in that manner is good, but leaving everything in the hands of your subordinates sometimes also, do not also help as well. And to be classified as an effective leader, and as Dr. Maswell clearly also indicated about the 4 C's, which talks about communication. One of the pivotal role as a leader has to do with your communication. How you communicate to your people is very important. Some of us do not succeed in leadership because we don't know how to communicate. And we think that because we are leaders, because we are the president, because we are the CEOs, the managers, we are voted into power, we were elected, and therefore we use our personal funding to establish our businesses, and it's no need for we to communicate to a subordinate is not good. Because sometimes whatever you want to accomplish, if you don't communicate to them, it's not good for the growth of the company. So communication plays an integral role. And as one of the axioms of the communication clearly spells out, you cannot not communicate. So as upcoming leaders or leaders already in the making, let's take communication very crucial. And because we cannot do anything without communication. Even as a medical doctor, if you don't communicate effectively, you don't communicate well, you may have repercussion on your patient. For instance, if it comes out that your patient is being diagnosed of HIV virus, how you communicate to the patient really, really helps. Because if you just come straight to the person that the outcome of your result is that you are positive of this particular virus, we all know what could happen to that particular patient. So how you communicate is very important. Communication plays an integral role. Some of the businesses are not in existence as I speak. Some of this, what do we call it? Leaders who started well, but up to now we can't see most of them, all because of communication. Communication is very important, because whatever we do, communication plays an integral role. And sometimes you don't need to see yourself, you don't need to feel that because you are the boss, and therefore you have to speak to your people anyhow. Communication, as you are speaking, also has to do with courtesy, how you speak to people, your demeanor, the posturing. And as we all know, talking about communication, that is the verbal and non-verbal view, point of communication. The non-verbal constitutes about 70%. So how you communicate to your people, it even boosts their morale. It even motivate them that, oh, this our president, this our CEO manager knows how to talk to us. But unlike a leader or a CEO or a manager, where your subordinates, cannot even come closer to you, or whenever you speak, chaos or anarchy must come out of your communication, which is very dangerous. So we have to clearly look at the communication aspect. It's very, dear to my heart. And another one too has to do with familiarity, which is very important. Nowadays, the upcoming youths and the leaders, you don't critically pay attention to this. And for me, it's something that we all have to critically study it. When we get opportunity to be associated with people, with managers, with CEOs, with people beyond authority. We try to abuse the opportunities that we get. And clearly, this has indeed affected a lot of people who are unable to honor their talent in leadership. Because when you get the opportunity to be associated with somebody who is above you, that you are studying or learning from, and the person grants you certain access, you don't need to go beyond that boundary. You need to respect. You should know that there is a clear distinction between yourself and the person. For instance, if you just have the opportunity to meet somebody and the person grants you the access and start coaching you and your work that you have done so far, or the character you have demonstrated, has really caused the person to appreciate and like you, and decides to hand a lot of things to do, sometimes even eat together, course on you, like you forget that, oh, there is a clear distinction between myself and this person. And the time you realize the person does not even call or consult you or do anything for you again. And at the end of the day, you sit elsewhere and say that, oh, some people are not good and all that. So it's something you have to also take a critical look at it. And feedback is also important. And as we spoke about communication, because after communicating to people, the result that you get also clearly indicate that whether what you communicated really understood or not. So you cannot just be a leader who just communicates without also working on the feedback as well. And we also need to talk about, as a leader, one of the critical role that you also have to play by implementing the best leadership style also has to do with thinking outside the box. That makes you different among your people. And that makes you the one leading the crowd, because leadership involved organizing, directing, controlling, and guiding. So one of the critical has to do with thinking outside the box. Always you have to be proactive. You have to think ahead of the people you are following. For instance, you don't need to let something happen before you make a decision, or you start by planning. Always you need to plan ahead. Always you need to think ahead. And that clearly distinguishes you from your other colleagues. So by implementing the best leadership style, and as we're also speaking to most of the leaders, what do you call it? Student leaders, and those who want to assume leadership role, become leaders in their various fields, because we have different categories of people who are online listening. It's important that we blend all that. So those indeed who want to involve themselves in student leadership activism, it's very important that you always think outside the box, and that will clearly indicate that you are a leader. So it's something that you need to also look at it. And consultation, most leaders do feel that some of them do start well, but the ability to consult, also really helps. Some, at the moment they get opportunity, they think that is all. They have some executives, but instead of them to consult them to seek their opinion views about what they can do to help the association or the business or the organization to grow, they don't do that. They think that they are in charge, and therefore whatever they say is final. But one thing that I believe is that sometimes the people you are leading, some of them might have an idea on something that you are doing that you might not even know. So with a consultation, you'll be able to get more ideas, and you'll be able to help the people you are leading and following. And another thing also has to do with inspiring others. If you're a leader and you cannot inspire others, then for me, it is questionable. You are not a leader. And it's not about picking phones to call people, inspire them morning, afternoon, evening. No, but your actions and inaction must always inspire people. People must see something in you. People must be able to say that, okay, with this person, I'll be able to get here, I'll be able to do this, I'll be able to accomplish the task ahead of me. So a leader must be inspirational. And what will make you an inspirational to others is subject to how you go about things, your daily activities, the decisions that you take, your policies and all that. So as a leader, you must be inspirational to people, whatever you do. If you are not an inspirational to people, if your actions and inaction cannot change people, then you are not a leader, because you are indeed not doing anything. So as upcoming leaders or leaders in making, we have to try as much as we can to ensure that whatever we do, we'll be able to inspire others through our actions and inactions. And another thing is that as a leader, you don't need to cease learning. And the day you stop learning is the day you fail as a leader. So if you want to excel excellently, it is imperative on you to keep on learning, keep on studying in every aspect. Because one thing that I've come to appreciate as a leader is that people assume that so far as you're a leader, you must have an idea of everything. So if we see that somebody can just call you and ask you something which has absolutely nothing to do with your field of study, or has absolutely nothing to do with whatever you do or you find yourself, but they need an idea of it. And because you are a leader, you have to learn in every aspect of the economy in terms of health, economy, education, and all that, so that at least you have an idea. When you are speaking, you know that you are speaking based on fact, you are speaking based on evidential value. So we have to also look at that. It's very, very important. And we need to also be in a position or capacity to also resolve conflict as leaders. And if you're a leader and you cannot indeed resolve issues amicably, then it's also questionable. So it's something that we have to also take a critical look at it. And another thing that we have to also notice that as leaders or upcoming leaders, we have to also be discerning. We have to discern, and I should be able to discern that, okay, this decision that you're taking, this might be the repercussions, or this might be the consequences, this might be the outcome. You should be able to discern what is good and bad. And that also clearly indicates that you're a leader. In the beginning, I stated it clearly that everybody is a leader. However, whatever you do will clearly be determined whether indeed we're a leader or not. That is why I mentioned some particular names that at least when you mention Nelson Mandela, something comes to mind. When you mention Adolf Hitler, Idi Amin, you also have different impressions about them. All those people were leaders as well, but your ability to cause positive change in people will clearly demonstrate the kind of leader that you are or you were. So coming back to implementing the leadership style in correlation to various leadership styles, we also have the co-style leadership. And this co-style leadership, they believe that people are reservoirs of talent, and the best thing they can do is unleash or unearth their talent. So with this type of leadership, they guide them, they build them, they coach them in whatever they find themselves, and ensure that they become better people in their life. That regarding the co-style of leadership, and also have the bureaucratic aspect, which indeed has similarity with the democratic aspect. And this one, indeed, we look at the bureaucratic aspects in our leadership by making sure that decisions are passed through bureaucratic way, whereby you don't just get up and do things on your own, that appropriate authorities, the procedures, the right procedures are followed. That is the bureaucratic aspect of it. So for the purposes of the time and those who are also on board may also have other things to come. I don't know the time now, but I would like to end it here. If we have other questions or criticisms in relation to that, then we can address them within the time.
Well, okay, so Mr. Oswell, once again, we say a very big thank you to you. We really appreciate your words. We really appreciate your delivery. Indeed, as you said, that everything rises and falls on God's leadership. Yes, I believe that we all have actually learned a lot and heard a lot. Because for me, if nothing at all, from his part, I have learned that the day as a leader I stopped learning, it is possible maybe I might start dwindling or start dying. Yes, at this point, I will actually take this as an opportunity to inform participants about the fact that automatically you actually have your microphones actually turned off. So you would have to type your questions, you have to type your comments and any other suggestions that you would want it to be known into the message box. Yes, and your able moderators will go through it and read them out to the hearing of what our guest speakers so that they answer the questions accordingly. In view of this, we would deem it better to have our next guest speaker speak. The reason being that as we go through the process of typing our questions into the message box, it might take some time, it might consume some minutes, and maybe we might be thinking that people or participants might not have any other thing to say or any other question. Meanwhile, they would have it. So we will plead with everybody to actually type their questions or messages or suggestions into the message box while we have our next guest speaker to actually speak. When she's done with her presentation, then we would now have a full session of what question and answers. So the moderators will take it up and ask the questions and direct them to the speakers who actually spoke on that specific topic so that we will all have our questions being answered. And I think that would ensure a smooth and fair run. So at this point, once again, Mr. Oswald, we really appreciate your words. We say a very big thank you because we know that indeed, though your delivery is impactful, you have actually done it on a free plate. And therefore, once again, we really appreciate you. At this point, I would call on my sister, Priscilla Mausinyavo, to come in and actually introduce and call in the next guest speaker to also have her delivery to us whilst we, the participants, go through the process of typing our questions, our suggestions, and ambiguities in the message box. So please, Priscilla Mausinyavo, we deem it best having you speak to us and invite onto us the next guest speaker.
Okay, so the next delivery will be on entrepreneurship under the topic trading in Africa. And our speaker is Madam Joy Wanjuru Machungu Zain, the founder and CEO of African Women in Trade and African Women in Europe. So African Women in Trade was actually an initiative of which she is the brain behind. It's actually created for the need for African women in Europe to support African women in business, to empower, inform, share their skills, and any other thing for a sustainable partnership. And we are very grateful to have the brain behind that speaking to us on trading in Africa. So without much ado, I would like to have on the platform Madam Joy to take us through this section.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, my name is Joy Tens, and I'm the founder of African Women in Europe, based here in Germany, and as well the founder of African Women in Trade. These two organizations, you might be wondering why they are like this, but the Africa Women in Europe is basically for women who have been here for over 15 years, and our aim is to network and to connect. So for this, sorry, pardon me a bit, it's a little bit disturbing. So the whole idea was to, how can we African women in Europe go back in Africa and support our organization? And this is why you can see the reason why we were after 10 years, we decided let's go back and there's somebody present. I think we have to mute somewhere. Sorry. Yeah, and so the whole idea was to make sure that the women are able to support the communities back at home in Africa. So in this case, we have we thought of following the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And not only women, we included the youth. And that's why I think why I've been invited here to talk on this platform by Samuel. And because we are very powerful in supporting youth, because we think the combination of the two really work so well. And I'll be explaining to you why and how we African in trade, we are moving in that direction. So the African Women in Trade basically is the idea is we actually asked our members, we did the design thinking, asking our members, what do they really need? What support do they need? And from there, we discovered there's a lot of support. There's need for networking, there's need of market access, there's need of finance, and of course, education, which we cannot underestimate. Bringing up anyone who wants to go into trading, there's a lot of information. This includes the youth as well. So from there, we've been able to move from one step, putting all these ideas. You can check on our website, www.africawomenintrade.com. And from there, you can be able to see how women have been able to come up with the solutions actually themselves. And we are located in different countries, so you will be able to see that as well. But I don't want to focus on that because you can always find these on our platform. But I've been asked to talk about a few topics here, which I'll focus on, how promoting entrepreneurship and trade among young people of Africa. And this is something that I find it very important. We need to start promoting entrepreneurship, especially when you're in the young age, because that's when you can be able to start at an early age and you are a lot of energy. And I say this because I'm also working with also the youth very closely. I've just seen the speaker yesterday, Oliver, and he's in South Africa, a lot of energy, I love his energy, empowering information. And combination of the both women and youth, we are able to learn so much and move faster together. So entrepreneurship should be encouraged at a very young age. And I think you young people, you are able to do that much easier because you got the education. I wouldn't say the skills, which is missing. And the education is there, but it's also very useful because we need to work to support our women on the businesses to get started. And I'll give you an example of here in Europe, what we see family businesses. They all start when the children are born and they grow on and the family members are the ones who take over the business. So my encouragement is the youth to work very closely with their family. As you all know, we've been brought up in a culture where we support our home. I've been very much embraced in Africa, educated in Africa, in Kenya. So I know where we were all together working in the farm, cultivating and doing every sort of work you can imagine. And this was a lesson that was being passed on to us, but we didn't take it further because our education tell us to look for white collar jobs. But those people who really took it up and they had the opportunity to even work with the family farm, like we had an acre of 10 acre of maize and we had to go harvesting and we followed up all these skills. We were passed on even without knowing as young people. And this is something I could also relate myself because if I want to go into farming now, I can go ask my parents, how do you do this? How did you do the maize plantation, the harvesting, every process all the way to the end. So entrepreneurship can be encouraged very, very early. And we have seen this, it's something that can be practical, but are the youth ready? Are they ready to get out and get dirty? You know, that's how it is. And I have to say the dirtier it gets, the better the business. Keep that in mind as a young. The dirtier it gets, the better. That's why you see Chinese people coming in the country and going for the dirty jobs that you're not doing, and you wonder why they're thriving so well. Because that's where the business is. So youth, let's encourage you to go into the entrepreneurship. And I know it's not for everyone, but entrepreneurship is even your own grandmother. If you look at it, they all sell tomato, banana, vegetables. I don't know what you need to do with the entrepreneurship. It's something that you sell and give. You can do butter trade. It's still a lot of entrepreneur. It's selling, buying and selling, or producing or manufacturing. and it's a very lengthy process how you look at it as entrepreneurship. Even being in your colleges, selling all those mobiles, I don't know what, it's still entrepreneurship. So I think that's something anyone can learn, and it's a way of survival apart from employment. And I will get back to that. Focusing on, and I was asked to focus also on promoting Africa products. This is very, very important. As the young people, we need to focus on our product. I have a member, a youth on my platform. I was so surprised. They came up to me and they asked me, we have this idea, we want to bring it out. We're looking for finance. It was really young, 18 years old from university, and another one, 21. And one was in finance, one was in tech. This was such a joy to see what opportunities are there as youth you're doing. And we need to focus on those products that you do. They are tech. You're very smart people, especially when it comes to tech, the youth. And this is something you can really work on very well. So that we can push that in all areas. And then we also, when young people should actively invest and start trading. Well, investing is something that probably when you're young is something you don't think about, and or probably don't have the possibility of doing unless you're working and you're in employment where you can do a side hustle beside your job and start saving to start thinking of to start businesses. And I can tell you anything in Africa right now, when you start to do businesses in an entrepreneur, it's some way of investment, because the result is quite big. Yeah, I see people gaining profits from 20 to 30% of profits. So it's something that you can also invest into entrepreneurship, of course. And trading is also something for you to start doing. But first of all, you need to find a product. What products are you thinking of? What areas are you who are not able to really connect and be able to start a proper business? So this is something that you can always think of, looking for investors, people like diaspora who are ready to support your ideas, of course. Investors, I know it's very tricky to get somebody investing in an early stage, but it's always a possibility of doing that in the future as well. And by showing your skill, don't just come talking, start something. Like I told you, the 18-year-old had already started something to see, and there was potential. Don't just come without even having an idea, putting it on the paper. You need to put it before you come to investors. And from there, we can see the determination, the need, and the want. There's a new entrepreneurship is driven by passion, because things can go tough. How do you sustain it? So we need to see that passion in the beginning for the investors to even start working with you. Of course, the challenges and benefit of trading and becoming an entrepreneur, there's a lot of challenges, but I can only think of a lot of benefit if you start learning to trade at that early age and engaging yourself into training, apart from also educating yourselves in the area, because there's a lot of education services, not only goods. Being a consultant in an expertise on an area. You don't need to go to the products themselves. There are so many areas you can jump in as a young person where you can help in becoming an entrepreneur and also benefit. The challenges are many. I know financial is one of them. And as I told you, let's see your motivation, put your ideas in the paper so that people can be able to assist, and that makes it much better. And the other part is also you need to also try to associate yourself with like-minded people. Universe, as I told you this year, I'm going to use the same case of the young person, and the tool is coming up, and I can see he even messaged me. They're always improving, impressive. The money they needed was not a lot. It's really pocket money when you look at on the diaspora concept. It's not a lot of money to get you started, but you have the motivation. And I like the idea that they came together. All of you are educated in different areas, and you can actually form a company on your own with your specialty. One is in the finance, one is in the IT. It's a very important tools to put together to even start a business. So these challenges of your mindset have to change, and working together, collaborative, and putting the best into you, the knowledge you have, and maybe somebody has come in as a diaspora with the skills or with the idea of supporting or even the money. It's part of the package. And also look at this, not always about me, like, or youth, you're very energetic, it's about you. I know your goals, you want to make money today. It doesn't work like that. You have to put in a lot of energy and time. And those are the challenges, especially when I'm thinking about it right now with the platform. Everybody wants to make money today. It doesn't happen like that. You need to create time and a lot of motivation. And I can tell you how you do this is connecting with others, partnering with others who think like you, being around people who think like you so that you can learn from them. And of course, finding mentors. There are a lot of mentors around who are, whatever you're thinking of, have already been done before. And if it's new, brilliant, that's innovative. And I know you're very good at innovation, but how can you put those ideas into practical parts? But you need to be, we have all this information out there for free. YouTube, you are all watching YouTube, you're looking funny tools, laughing about the comedians. Guys, there is a lot of training happening on YouTube for free. Google, put it up there on YouTube, whatever you want to learn, and it will be offered. Every time I have an issue on the technology side, and you all know that, you can always write on YouTube and you get us. So today I had an issue trying to solve how to put this live stream this on YouTube on somebody else's channel. We had to go to use YouTube to find out. We don't need to go all the time to the service. And these ideas, as you know, we look about those challenges are actually businesses, those issues. So you can actually open a hub where you can go there and be the person to help the people. So I want to also share a good practice, what we have been doing as well, which are coming up, is where we think youth are also looking for jobs. We know I always say, like, you're overeducated, a lot of degrees, a lot of education, but no skills. So how can we make sure that you can also create a job? So what you're doing on our platform, we are actually looking for expertise of the youth. Some of them are good at according to the needs of the women. At the moment, we know our women are very busy with their products, but how can you support them, especially putting their ideas into formal? And this is just simple, like having a PowerPoint presentation. Everyone here on the youth know how to write a PowerPoint presentation, but some of our youth women are struggling with their businesses because this is not part of their expertise or not even the area that they want to work on. How can you come in and offer this service? And they will pay you for those services. So we're actually forming up a youth and women program where the youth are going to be helping our women to prepare their pitch deck because they need to present their products and they are not yet in the paper, getting their idea out into the paper, putting strategies in place and things like that. So we are looking forward to this new program. I wanted to share with you here as well. We are working on it, and if you're youth with a lot of skills that you can help women, I want you to come to us and connect with us, and we can be able to create jobs for you. It's not a huge job, but it's an idea to figure out which areas can you be an expert in, and people will look for you, and that will end up being your job. So I hope I've covered the most important points for today, and to all the speakers have shared with us a lot of information. And I'm looking forward to also getting to know more about what everybody else is doing. So you can also reach out to us. As I mentioned, I'll share the link on the chat, africawomenintrade.com or africawomenintrade@gmail.com. That's how to write to it. Thank you so much. And thank you. I'll be here for any questions if there are there. Back to you, Priscilla.
Thank you very much, Madam Joyce. That was a great one. Entrepreneurship should indeed be encouraged, and there are lots of platforms we should use. Thank you very much for that. On that note, I would like to inform everyone here on this platform as well that I'm an entrepreneur. I run a local G stand, which is on Glovo, so you can check me out as well. This is one of the platforms I'm using, madam. Okay, so we will take the questions now. And our first question is, what do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur in Africa? Madam, please, would you want me to address, like, tell you all the questions, then you address, or you like to take them one by one?
I can take one by one. It's okay. I don't want to skip anyone. At the moment, I'm not an entrepreneur in Africa, but I'm an entrepreneur in the globe online. That's where I am. So I'm more in the service area where I give solutions to members on my platform. So for example, the Women in Trade, that's what we do. And it's driven purely by passion. It's not an easy service. Entrepreneurship, which is the social business, it's also part of it. But the joy of it is when you sell. When you see somebody appreciating you and buying your product, like coming to the events. For my side, I have events and people coming for membership. And if it's a product that we are trying to sell, like coffee and tea, having good contracts with companies in Germany selling products from Africa made, that is just, I think, I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, madam. The next question is, what do you find most challenging about being an entrepreneur?
Yes, being an entrepreneur, the most challenging part, especially with the service sector, is that you need to show the fact, what are you providing? Are you solving? Is there anything you're solving? And being in this area where I am, I have to come up with a lot of ideas. What solutions am I solving? And it's purely based on members. So you have to, the same thing with a product. What solution are you solving? And is it reaching the people? Because then you would not sell. And that is very challenging. And also to get market. Marketing is a very important area, people to get to know who you are and what you're doing, get to know the organization. In somewhere you have to be ready for public speaking, looking for opportunities to talk about your products, sharing your products. That would be something very challenging, especially if you don't have you're not in the digital world and you're not a person who interact quite easily with new people. So you might have to end up investing a lot of, finance is also an issue, I think, for some people, but I don't think when you sell, finance should be an issue, because if your product is good and it's selling, you should be able to grow. But when it comes to trade, you might need financing to scale up. And if you're starting, any business you start, you need a capital and you need finance. Now, I'm sure that's a challenge, especially for the youth. I can imagine that would be the basic thing, to get the capital to get started. Back to you, Priscilla.
Wow.
My co-moderator will take over from here. Kofi Ajiman.
Oh, okay, so actually that's a nice one there. And madam, please, we would also want to know that how do we in this competitive world that everybody wants to be a business personnel, or let's say an entrepreneur, how do we as young people plan for business futures with the business that we aim to start with? Hello, please, madam. Well, I don't really know if you heard me, but please let me take it again. So the question is that in this competitive world whereby everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, or everybody is bringing up a business idea, wanting it to establish, how do we young people actually plan for our business futures? How do we ensure that the business that we've started actually achieves the future we want to see it achieving?
Hello, madam.
Oh, sorry, I was talking the whole time. Sorry, as I was saying that competition is very good, is very positive, and for the entrepreneurs, if you are planning to do something somebody else is doing, make it better. It has to be better because what I was saying before, there are so many farmers in the world out there, and they're all producing the same thing. So what do you think? Who is winning the other one? The one with the best potato or the better onion is the one who's going. So make sure that whatever you're bringing in the market, because we cannot be, to innovate something new, it's a lot of work. So you have to work with what is working and what is making it better, and something that you like to do and it's working in a study, solving a problem, not just creating products without knowing who needs them. So that's very important. Back to you.
Okay, so thank you for that. That's an awesome answer from my side. And we would also want to ask that in this world that everybody wants to actually start something, everyone wants to become an entrepreneur. What are the fundamental things that no matter the business or the type of entrepreneurship you want to do, you would have to consider in order to ensure that the plans we have for that business to be precise is able to be materialized? Do we have any fundamental things that you know that whether it's business A or C or D, you still have to factor these principles or these rules and guidelines? Do you have anything of that sort, please?
There are no rules of doing business. In fact, you are just supposed to start what you think you want to start. Start really small. Don't start building castle in there because you'll never start. You have to start from just the idea, put it on the paper, start working along little by little, stop building castles in there, because most of us, we want to have a big company, big this, it doesn't work like that. Start from your house. You're in your parents, you're not paying rent, some of you, if your sisters are parents. Take advantage of that. Start practicing things in your bedroom. Stop. That's how all companies did. So I don't think there's any rule of being entrepreneur. I told you my grandmother was selling bananas on the street in Kenya. I don't think there's anything she had to know. She knew that people needed bananas and they were buying. So she brought banana every evening in the afternoon, and she had a specific time she knew people are going to sell. And that's how they were doing. So there is no formula of becoming entrepreneur. You either are willing to go into that direction. It's very tough, and start now, not tomorrow. Put it on the paper and then work it around. Because you might be working on things that you really don't need. When you get to that stage, you get stuck, look for an expert to help you to get through that stage. And then you'll be moving step by step. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Yes, madam. It's definitely help. Start now and not tomorrow. This question is addressed to both speakers, so I'll take it. I hope we have Mr. Anand still here. And the question is from Christian. And he's saying thank you for your amazing teaching to both speakers. And he wants to find out how a mentee can maintain a mentorship relationship with its mentor, and what are the details mentors always seek in developing their interest in keeping that mentoring relationship with his or her mentees. To both speakers, please.
All right. Thank you very much once again. As I did indicate in my submission, I stated it categorically that one thing that I've discovered, which clearly do separate leaders and mentees, has to do with familiarity. So if you want to sustain relationship you have with your mentor, it is important and instructive on you to make sure that you will not indeed let that familiarity breeze that content between the two. So we should respect the differences between yourself. We should know that regardless the opportunities your mentor has given to you, there is a clear distinction between you and him. And therefore, you must respect that. And sometimes one thing I've discovered also is that when leaders see potentials in you, they realize that you are very submissive, you are very interesting, you contribute significant in whatever he or she does. They try to bring you closer and they open a lot of opportunities, doors for you. They let you know who they are. Sometimes you can even eat with you. And because you have that access or the privileges, you should know that there is a distinction. You need to respect that. The please that you used to call him initially when you were begging him to mentor you, have to maintain it. Whenever I send you, you make sure that you are on time, you deliver as is being expected on you. You don't need to change. So if you want to maintain that relationship, you don't need to let that familiarity to set in. And you have to be somebody who always improve on whatever is being delivered on you. For instance, if the person realizes that the role that you play in his or her life or the business, whatever he's doing, it makes it difficult for the person to distance him or herself from you. So you have to always make sure that you bring something on the table. You have to let a person feel that you are important in whatever he does. And when I see you in that manner, it will be very difficult for me to indeed allow you to leave my end. I'll always try to make sure that you are with me, and I also contribute in whatever you do. I'll impact positively in whatever you do. So please don't let familiarity come in. You need to respect the person. You need to do things as you were doing initially. And that is one of the greatest challenges that I've experienced in the upcoming leaders, the mentees. It's very important. That is what I spoke about. So please kindly know that there is a distinction between him or her and yourself. And when you are able to discover that, under no circumstance will distance set in.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anand. We would like to hear from Madam Joy as well.
Yeah, about mentorship, it's a very interesting, as you heard. There's a lot of work actually from the mentee. We actually did a training on it. There are different types of mentor, because some people think also both sides, mentor and mentee, can learn from each other. So if you're looking for a mentor, and as you mentioned, it's because how to maintain the relationship. You have to deliver. They don't need to do anything. They need to tell you what to do. They give you ideas, and you have to put it down. And you have to create to show you are interested by connecting. We had a mentorship, normally it's like 10 months, very intense, where you need communication once a month. We understand sometimes the mentees are having issues. It's just not about the actual work that sometimes you have to go even to psychological and being there, understanding the situation at the moment. Some people are going through hardship, and unblocking all this is just not about the end product, but it's also the mentorship and the whole package. So for you to maximize that, you need to be very ready for it. Make time and follow your mentor, because they're not going to follow you. You need to do the job and show that you're giving feedback, because sometimes, which I found very much, most of us want to be spoon-fed. Like the way the school comes, they give you education, does to exam. No, life is not like that. There's no spoon feeding. You're given ideas, you go do your research, and that's how to build your relationship with them, because you deliver more and they're impressed that you did much better. So don't wait to be spoon-fed. Nobody's gonna spoon-feed you. And these are big issues, especially when it comes to us African. You want to be spoon-fed. No. Mentorship doesn't mean me coming giving you all the information. No, I give you the tips, where to go get it, and how to do it a little bit. The rest, you need to do the work. So there's a training for mentors to understand that. Mentors also have to know that they are not like the mother and father thing. You control somebody here and there, do this, do that, and finally you almost to take over the parents' side of mentorship. But it's something that also the mentors need to understand what kind of training they need to give a lot of space for the mentee to also grow. I hope I answered that. Back to you.
Okay, so once again, we thank you for that awesome answer. This actually goes to Mr. Anand, and we actually want to know that as a subordinate, yes, as a subordinate, someone serving under a leader, is it eligible for you to have issue with them to that extent that the wrongs they do, you would expose them publicly, or yes, you do and things publicly? Is it eligible for a subordinate to hold on to that extent?
Hi, please. I think you have difficulty with your network. Can you please recap your question again?
Uh, Sorry for that. Yes. Please, the question is that as a subordinate, is it eligible for us to hold on strongly to grudges with our leaders to the will review or will what expose maybe certain issues or secrets that relate to our leaders to the public? Is it eligible or is it advisable we do that as a subordinate?
All right. Thank you very much. This question is very sensitive and dicey. You know, we need to take it from different perspective. First of all, the secrecy the gentleman who asked the question is talking about. Does it have to do with, for instance, misdeeds of the boss in the organization or the association, or it has to do with the secrecy that the boss shared with him or her? That is what we have to establish, because one thing I believe is that your secret is your strength, and when you put that one aside, everyone shares secret with somebody. So if there is misunderstanding between the two, and as a result of that, you want to expose me, then you are also questionable. But if the manager or the boss or the leader has done things which has propensity of causing damage to the organization or the state, then I am of the firm belief that the subordinate can do that, but should not be in a manner because first of all, there is misunderstanding between the two. So assuming there was no misunderstanding, then you wouldn't have had the courage to come out to say that you want to expose your boss. But for me, as I said, we need to look at it from two different perspectives. One, if I have my personal secret that I've shared with you, then you have to respect it, because your failure to respect people's secrecy clearly demonstrate how immature you are. And regardless your disposition or your status, you have a secret, and everybody shares secret with others. So you don't need to let misunderstanding to happen before you say that because of that, I want to expose you publicly because of the misunderstanding. When you do that, then you are not matured enough. However, if the one you are following has conducted him or herself to the manner that it has a direct repercussion to the state or the company or an individual, then you can do that. But that one, you need to do it in a way that at the end of the day, you also will not find yourself wanting, because you also have rules of engagement where when you go contrary to them, you can also be sued. So we need to look at it, as I said, very dicey and sensitive, depending on how the expose is all about.
Oh, okay, so Mr. Oswell, once again, we really appreciate such an awesome answer. Also, a gentleman is asking that he wants to know right from the onset, when we started as a class prefect, sailing through second cycle education profession to become the PISAC president. He's asking, how were you able to attain all this height in leadership? What is the secret that has driven you throughout this whole sequential process?
All right. Thank you once again for this question. As the person said, he or she is right, and I've assumed leadership position in so many angles. But first of all, I don't downplay with God. Everything that I do, God is the one that I look up to, because I know that He's the creator and the possessor of the universe, and He's in charge of my destiny. So everything that I do, I consult Him. And second one has to do with perseverance. Perseverance is very important in our daily lives, in our leadership, in our businesses or governance. When you have that tenacity spirit, that this is what you want to accomplish, and because you have targeted this, you put in the appropriate measures and you work towards that, I'm 100% optimistic and of the firm belief that you'll be able to accomplish it. And consistency. You must be consistent with whatever you are doing, because if you start something today and the next day you get tired, you don't want to continue, you want to try something different, then it will make it extremely complicated to get to wherever you want to find yourself. So with God, perseverance, consistency, I mean, whatever you want to do, you'll be able to accomplish it. And you need to have set goals as well, that this is what you want to do, and not just by saying it for saying sake. I want to establish business, I want to contest for this, I want to do this, and you just sleep. No, you have to make sure that whatever you want to do, there are processes which involve. Follow the processes, and I'm sure that you'll be able to get to wherever you are. And these have been my secrets, for my entire leadership position that I've. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anand, for sharing your secrets on how you attained your leadership positions with us. Someone will as well want to find out that how do you deal with criticism as a leader?
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this question. I was telling somebody yesterday that regardless who you are, so far as you're a human being, you never get everybody to appreciate you. And even if everybody appreciates you, meaning that there is something that you have to study it well. So as far as you're a leader, you get people who criticize you. It is inevitable. You cannot do away with it. Criticisms are there. But your ability to stand with it clearly showcases that you are indeed a leader. So when criticism arrives, you just study it. And if some of them, demand an answer or release, then it works towards it. But some of the criticism to also do come to help us. Not all the criticisms are bad. So it depends on the angle you are coming from. We have constructive criticism. Sometimes when you are a leader, there are certain things you might be doing of which you might think that you're on the right path. However, those who are behind you can see that where you are moving towards is not the best, and therefore they will criticize you. They criticizing you doesn't mean that they don't like you, or it doesn't mean that they disapprove whatever you do. It also means that they mean well to you. So to stand with constructive criticism, it is important that you study what the criticism is all about. Then you take the good ones out of it. The ones we think can shape whatever you are doing, then you do. And there are some criticisms to which, for me, I would describe it as black criticisms. Those ones you don't need to pay much attention. Those criticisms do come to distract you. They just come to divert your attention, whatever you are doing. So when it happens like that, you need to know how to go about it. And some of them too, it doesn't demand for answer. There are some people, when at the moment they are being criticized, especially when they know that they did not do something wrong, they become demoralized, they become discouraged, and whatever they are pursuing, they put stop to that. No, when you do that, then it cannot be a great leader. A great leader is someone who stands or his ability to overcome criticism, and not just overcome it, but be able to make sure that at the end of the criticism, he or she was able to stand firm. So basically, that is what I can say about it. As far as you're a human being, and not just that as a leader, criticism are bound to happen. It is inevitable in our daily activities. And when they come, you need to look at it from two perspectives. One, whether it is constructive or black criticism. If it is constructive, you study it, you pick the ones that they spoke about, analyze it, and add it to whatever you are doing. And you could see that you'll be a better person. But when the criticism has absolutely nothing to do with you, it cannot bring something positive, or it cannot contribute meaningfully into your life, the best thing you can do is to do away with them. You don't need to waste my time on it. And to those who are being discouraged and demoralized by hearing a lot of criticisms, I mean, I'm here to encourage you that you need to stand with it. This, you will hear a lot of them. Some will come with a lot of criticism. Some will say a whole lot of things. I want to set this, what we call typical example. I remember last year when I came to UK for a program, and I went to one of the FM stations, and somebody tested the host that he should ask me why I took my girlfriend to United Kingdom last year. And meanwhile, this is not the case, but you could see how this thing is coming from. So because I knew that it was not the case, and I did not take the supposed girlfriend to the UK, what I said to myself was that, I mean, it's bound to happen, and you were a leader. So I never allowed this to chastise me. And I recall that when I was also the SRC president, then we went for our PUSA games. Then the dean has not even approved our budget for us, but it was all over on our platforms that I've gone to take 60,000 Ghana cedis from the management for the games. Meanwhile, there was no iota of the truth. So what do I do? As a leader, they will criticize. Just that you have to steer the ball straight and keep on doing whatever you are. But at the moment you allow these things to overcome you, then obviously you become a failure as a leader. Thank you.
Thank you as well, Mr. Anand. There is this other question. Alexander would like to know, as a subordinate to two leaders, an assignment has been given to him, they are demanding it at the same time. Please, what should he do for them to know that he is capable of working with them?
Hey, please, I did not hear the initial statement. Can you recap it for me, please?
Okay, so Alexander is saying, as a subordinate to two leaders, an assignment has been given to me. They are demanding it at the same time. Please, what should I do for them to know I am capable of working with them?
All right. Thank you so much. First of all, the question that we have to ask is, are the two leaders aware that you are serving them? If they are, then it is important that you tell them perhaps the time you'll be able to fix this particular assignment due to preoccupation of you, because as a follower, subordinate, honesty is very important. That will clearly, demonstrate to your leader that you are somebody he can establish long-lasting relationship with. So honesty plays an integral role. However, if they are not aware that you are serving them, then what you are supposed to do is that you have to try as much as you can to expeditiously deliver as you are being instructed to do, because you know your capabilities. That is why you went for those tasks. And as a leader or a manager, I'm expecting you that within this time you deliver this, because you might not know out of your delivery is what is going to rescue the company. But you are here to tell me that because you are serving two leaders, it makes it very difficult. And that is why I also hired you. So the honors responsibility lies on you to make sure that you do your things well and meet the time. And that will even compel your leader to even like you more, because you cannot use it as an excuse. And you decided to go for two jobs. And therefore, you knew your strengths and weaknesses. And it is important that you honor that. So as far as what you're supposed to do is make sure that you deliver on time. But if, for instance, they know that you are serving two masters, and therefore the work which has been instructed on you to deliver is not something compelling, then it is important that you let them know that, okay, you can let one person know, okay, boss, I'm supposed to deliver this work to you at this time, but due to preoccupation, I just want to plead with you with the greatest of respect that I'll be able to indeed deliver this assignment. Instead of 12 o'clock, I'll do it at 6 o'clock. Then you are good to go. But if you are unable to do that, and you wait till the time and you come and tell your leader that you're unable to do it, then I think you should count yourself out of his or her jurisdiction. So for me, it depends on the angle that you are coming from, and you need to handle this with vigilance. It is very important. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Oswell. And this question from Abraham, and actually this question goes to Madam Joy. But then we have Mr. Oliver here, and we deem it best that since he is available, he will actually provide an answer to the question. So Abraham is saying that in a setting like Africa, whereby mostly we the young people start our business as a sole proprietor, and at the latter part, we make it a partnership business. Is it advisable we go by that, or it will be best we start right from the onset as a partner or as a partnership business, then we sail through to the end?
Somehow I didn't, Oliver has left, but I didn't hear the full question. What with the question? I got. Is it also here on the chat that I can read?
Yes, please. Okay, so the question says that it's from Abraham. Yes, Abraham is asking that mostly in Africa, what we the young entrepreneurs do is that we start our business as a sole proprietor, and at the latter part, we join hands with others and make it a partnership business. So is it advisable we go by that, or we should right from the onset start as a partnership business and just end with that? That's what Mr. Abraham is asking.
Okay, that's a very good question. Partnership is very good because everybody brings something on the table. And as you said, you have to start to build, I like the idea, you said you start first of all from where you know. You build it as a single person with your expertise. When you partner with somebody else, they're also bringing their expertise on another area. So partnership is definitely something to grow a business. And then because you see what the other one brings the value. And I recommend that very highly. That's something that I wanted to put it in there. Definitely go for it.
Okay, so for that wonderful answer, we also have a question here from Emmanuel. Yes, okay, let me read this question from Prince. Prince is asking that how do you handle disagreement or misunderstanding among your followers? So I think this question is directed to Mr. Anand. Yes, that's about asking that how are you able to manage disagreement and misunderstanding with your followers in order to ensure that there is no extension when it comes to the chaos and problems that come with the matter. How are you able to manage misunderstanding among your followers?
All right, thank you once again, this question. In my presentation, I spoke about communication. Everything is about communication. And I made it clear that one of the axioms of communication is that you cannot not communicate. And this means that communication is everything. So whenever you have a challenge in an organization or among people, the best thing to do is to communicate, and not just about communication. You need to have the right channel and communicate effectively to your followers. For instance, before an issue occurs, obviously there must be something that brought in the misunderstanding. So you need to discover that, because one thing that I personally believe in is that when a problem is discovered, meaning that half is solved. So a problem discovered is half solved. So at the moment you discover that, meaning that you know how to handle it, because you have discovered the problem. So when you're able to discover that, the best thing to do is to allow communication plays its role. You call the actors involved and you speak to them, and that makes you a leader. And obviously they have to listen to you. As a leader, you must be very charismatic, you must be influential, you must be able to influence and command demand. And under no circumstance will your followers will not honor your invitation. So I think that if the misunderstanding is about the workers, the followers, then after discovering the challenge or what brought in the misunderstanding, the best thing to do is to allow communication to work. You call the actors involved one after the other. Thereafter, you call all of them, you address it. You don't need to fall each other. If perhaps it has to do with somebody stepping each other's toes, after addressing it, the right thing must be done. And I don't think it will happen. However, if that misunderstanding is between yourself and the followers, one thing I believe in is that for the fact that you were a leader doesn't mean that you know everything. And for the fact that you were a leader doesn't mean that you cannot make a mistake. You are not God. You are a human being. You are fallible. And it is only God where the infallibility lies on him. And therefore, when you know that you have stepped or done something against followers or your workers, which may indeed can cause the companies down, what you have to do is to be in position to speak to your people and admit whatever you have done. And when you apologize, they will listen. Even 2 days ago, I listened to the President of the Republic of Ghana, and he really rendered an unqualified apology to the good people of Cape Coast for inconsistency in his speech. So, I mean, as a leader, you are bound to make mistakes. And when it happens, use the right way, do the right thing, and obviously nothing will happen. But if you see yourself to be superhuman, you see yourself as boss, and therefore after committing a mistake or stepping on people's toes, you don't need to come down to render an apology or speak to the people and admit it, then obviously you'll be in danger. But I'm of the firm belief that when you do that, obviously nerves will come down, and at the end of the day, things will be normalized. So as leader, you should be in capacity to apologize. You should be in capacity to curb down, because your ability to resolve conflict is also one of the qualities of an effective leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anand. So there is a question on entrepreneurship. And this is coming from Abraham. He says most businesses in Africa start as sole proprietorship, and later they partner with other people. Is it good to start a business this way, or you can partner at the start? So if we have Madam Joyce here or Mr. Oliver, could you kindly take that for us?
Oliver, I had answered some of the question, but Oliver can chip in here and you can unmute yourself.
Thanks, guys. Sorry, it's kind of like weekend. It's a little bit noisy in my background. But yes, can everybody hear me before I answer?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so thank you. So I think the answer to that is that one needs to first understand, why are you starting a business? So the why is very important. Are you starting a business to make a difference and an impact for the community, or you're just starting a business to make money or to create a job for yourself? So that's the first thing. And also, it's not a one size fit all. Some people, they start because they have a bigger vision and purpose to address some of the challenges that maybe the community, the town, the country, or the continent is facing. And some, they're just starting because they don't have a job. So that's very, very important to understand. And then once again, also understanding how you want to make your money, and also the steps that you need to follow. Partnership is very important, but you need to partner with the right person that shares the vision. So if a person shares the same vision with you, you are in the same place, it's good to start together because you can be able to inspire and help each other. But if you don't share the same vision, my advice will be start on your own, get the support through your network of people that you trust, that have the skill set that better than you, and then maybe at a later stage you can form those partnerships. But if you have somebody that you feel shares the same vision with you, I think I would suggest that it's important that you can join venture with that person. But if not, start alone and then gain some skills, fail, pick yourself up again, and then maybe at a later stage you can partner. Thank you. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Yes, Mr. Oliver. For those of us who don't know Mr. Oliver, he was our speaker for yesterday's topic on entrepreneurship. We are very glad we could answer this question. So our next question is directed to Mr. And the question is, as a leader, who do you look up to for inspiration? And what is that one decision you wish you didn't take? I think to serve as inspiration for participants here, so we know the steps that we take. So what is that decision you wished you never made, and who do you look up to for inspiration? Directed to Mr. Anand, please.
All right. Thank you once again. For me, before one assumes leadership position, there were people before you. There were people who have occupied the position that you find yourself. There are thousands of them. There are hundreds of them. And obviously, you have some who inspires you. For me, in every aspect of my life, I have particular people who inspire me, who I look up to. For instance, when you talk of diplomacy and international relations, the person who inspires me most is the late Kofi Annan of the blessed memory. He inspires me a lot. And in terms of governance and politics, especially Ghana, the one who inspires me is the president of the republic then, President Kufuor. And you talk about Africa, it was Nelson Mandela, and the entire Africa. So basically, you need to look out for people who have occupied or served in capacities of where you want to find yourself or where you are now. And by doing so, you come out with some of them who are directly conducted themselves in a manner you want to go or you want to reach. And after discovering that, then you can be in line with these people. You study whatever they did, you study their speeches, you study their works and everything. I can confidently tell you that you find yourself indeed even beyond them, because you are fortunate to study, you are fortunate to follow, and you have that chance to do that. And when you do that, you'll be able to do more than them. So you pick somebody as your motivator, somebody who inspires you, motivates you, but not everybody as a follower or as an upcoming leader you have to pick or you have to study. You cannot just get up and say that I have taken Kwame Mansa as my mentor, somebody I'm looking up to. to become or even to do more than what a person did. But you have to take your time, study the works of the person, not just only the works, everything about the person's speeches, how the person conduct himself in terms of the person's demeanor, his human relations, how affable, accommodating the person is. And obviously, the person becomes your mentor. I mean, as a leader. I think the questions were in two. That is one aspect that I've answered. And the first one was what, please? Hi, madam, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, Mr. Anand, we can
Yes,
hear you.
yes, I was saying that the questions were in twofold and I answered one. So the first one was, hello?
Yes, yes, please. I think the first question was that what is that one mistake that, yes, what is that one decision that you wish you never made? I think that's the first question. That
Hey.
one decision that you wish you never made.
Hmm. Uh, hmm. Hmm. This question, I think in public will be some way because it's a decision that I have regretted in my life, and it's very difficult for me to say it in public. But in answering this, what I can say is that we don't have two lives to live in this world. We only have one. And therefore, every decision and step that you take, you have to be extra careful and vigilant because there are some mistakes. When you make them, you can never change it. And those mistakes will haunt you forever till you die. And some of them, after your death, it will still be around until maybe Jesus Christ comes. So what I would say is that don't just make any decision. Don't just be in a hurry because you want to make a decision or you want to make a step in life or you want to do something. But what you have to do is that you have to assess it, take your time, analyze it. And if you think that after doing all these things will be in the best interest, then I'll suggest that you proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Anand. We really appreciate it. Though we know the question was that delicate, yes, but thank you for that awesome answer. Yeah, we still have a question here for you, and the question is that knowing that you are the president for PISAC, how are you able to motivate the lot of people that serve under you? How are you able to motivate them all and to ensure that there is no bias or there is no like nothing like favoring one and leaving the other? How are you able to motivate them in your little way as a leader?
All right. Thank you. I think by answering this question, first of all, I want to start by saying that as a leader, you have to be sociable. You have to regard everybody who comes on your way. You don't need to be discriminatory. You should let the people, around you understand the person you are. And I'm of the firm belief that when it happens in that way, definitely everybody will feel satisfied. And motivation comes in so many ways. It's not all about money, but sometimes how you regard somebody, how you listen to somebody, how you talk to somebody really even motivates them. It's not about money. You can give somebody's money, but if you are not in a good position with a person, if you don't regard people, you speak to people anyhow, you don't pay necessary attention to the people, nothing concerns you about people, then I can confidently tell you that no matter the amount of money, whatever you give to the people, obviously they will not be satisfied. So motivation comes in different manner. So your ability to indeed be in good position to all the people around, serve them. In fact, even if they ask you something or you're supposed to do something and they cannot be in position, communication is there. Communicate to the people. I wish to do this. However, looking at the circumstance at hand, I find it very difficult. But don't wait till that minute before you go and tell the person that I plan to do this, but unfortunately, when it happens like that, you disappoint the person, because the person will be expecting you that you be the last hope to the person's life or destiny or whatever he or she is looking for. So if you can proceed, if you can let a person know, then you make sure that you'll be able to communicate well to the people, you'll be able to serve them whenever they, and another thing I've also discovered in leadership, student leadership most especially, is that sometimes it's all about money. Some people, they just want to even just call you to see that at least you pick their course. Or when they even send messages and you're able to, reply them, that one serves as motivation to them. So as a leader, you don't need to see yourself as boss, one-man show. Whatever you say is final. Whatever you do is final. When you send me a message, if I like, before I reply. If the question is annoying, I'll reply you, I'll give you blue text and all that. It doesn't make sense. Even if somebody sends message and unfortunately you were unable to answer, and the person calls and they say later, you can even apologize. Oh, sorry, I just saw a message. This, at least the person is like, oh, Charlie, this person, the way he is, I really like his demeanor, his posturing, how he talks to people and all that. And for me, this has really, played an integral role in my life, because the type of people who have supported us up to now and who are still supporting us, I believe that all these things are part of it. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Anand. I think we take our final set of questions. And okay, I think this is a contribution from Mr. Oliver. And he's saying every leader should have emotional intelligence to lead with optimism, want to be good listener, and willing to serve. So I believe that's a contribution. Thank you very much, Mr. Oliver. We do appreciate that. Okay, to our final question. This is coming from Emmanuel, and he is asking Mr. Anand, how were you able to build a social brand for yourself? How were you able to network yourself with big politicians? This is coming from Emmanuel, and you like to direct this to Mr. Anand.
This question. All right. Thank you once again. How I was able to network myself. Well, I think it's all about branding. 1, 2, your approach to people. And when you get close to people, how submissive you become. It is clear that most people do not know how to approach people. And I want to take this opportunity to address that. Sometimes you go to a program and you get the opportunity to meet a big man, you exchange contact. Then next thing that you hear is that, Honorable, please, can I get 200 Ghana cedis to do this? When you do that, the person sees you as valueless in his or her life. You are just a parasite who is available to just take something away. But when you meet them and you let them understand, I don't mean you're going to tell them, but you let them understand that you are part of them and you're also there and available to also contribute in whatever they do, then they see you to be a different person. And when you get opportunity to do that, you do it well. And you have to sacrifice as well. And another thing that I've also seen is that most of the youth, we don't like sacrifices. What we want is that at the moment we see you, whatever we are doing for you, have to pay us. And it is really not helping. And for me, it's one of the reasons why I have been able to get myself networked from ministers, members of parliament, ambassadors, and all these big men. And sometimes when even they try to give something, you have to even reject it for them to know that actually this guy is very positive. And another thing is also is that when you get that opportunity, as I said, you don't need to be begging or asking and demanding, because there will be a time that you may need something which is bigger than what you're expecting now, which is that 200 cedis, 500 or 1,000 Ghana cedis. Because when they give it to you, that will be the end of it, and they'll need to see you or take, you seriously. And as the person asked this question, there was one of the big men that I was with, and I was supposed to even come back to UK, that was last year, to pursue my law. But because of what I was doing for that man, it was extremely difficult for, in fact, the person to release me, because it was a headache on him. So what I'm trying to say is that when you get the opportunity or you are part of somebody, try to play a role to the extent that in your absence, there will be a big vacuum. And when it happens, the person sees you and the person will get to introduce to a lot of people as well. So please, with my upcoming leaders and leaders, when you get the opportunity to be with people, let's limit our demands, but let's always look out for what we can do for the person, not what the person can do for you. And when we're able to do this, you can go wherever you want to go. And the second one has to do with personal branding. It's very important, because you cannot just say you want to go and meet a minister or see a CEO, a diplomat, an ambassador, where, excuse me to say, your dressing is not even iron, you've not even cut your hair, your belt is not even matching with your shoe and all that. The person does not even regard it. But when the person sees you, how you are coming, your personality, your demeanor, your posturing, your communication, the person will try to even hear you, because sometimes they don't want to give you the audience, but because of how you have conducted yourself, when they see you, they say, oh, wow, okay, right, sure. Then we take it from there. Sometimes you have to ask, what can I do for you? What should I do and all that? So when somebody needs somebody, or a person has to connect you, obviously you get opportunity and get there. So these are the things that we have to look for. You should limit our demands, and we should try to not always look out for what the person can do for me, but what can you also do for the person? Very important. And when you do that, get recommendations, but people do not know. When you go, these big men, they know each other and they talk. So if you go and mess up somewhere, all right, I can confidently tell you that you are going to lose a lot of opportunities from others, because they talk, they discuss matters, and sometimes issue pop up. I remember today, a colleague of mine sent me an audio that there is this guy that I gave his number to. There was Dubai Expo business, and the company took in charge of all the expenses. So the only thing that they were supposed to pay was 2,500 Ghana cedis, and he registered, which was 200 cedis. This guy called me several times that he needed a contact to join. I didn't mind him. He struggled and later gave the number, all because of what he did sometimes ago. Today I was there and the man called me. Was I the one who gave him this person? I said, yes. He said, oh, this is what this guy has come to do. So with this, it makes it very difficult, because already he has come to disgrace himself at my end. He has gone there to do it again. And next time when he gets the opportunity as well, and that person that I connected him to also knows that person, then this guy is missing the link. So it's important that we marry the two. I mean, and when you're able to do that, as far as the connections and the networking is concerned, you will not struggle with them. They will even come. Sometimes you can't even honor some of them, you know. So that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, Mr. Anand, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Most especially the branding part, very true. We really appreciate your answer on that. So we take our final contribution, and this is coming from Mr. Adam. He's saying, as a leader, it is important to maintain connections with role models and mentors, regardless of a leader's success. These are the individuals they go to when they need advice themselves. So that was a contribution from Mr. Adam. Thank you very much, Mr. Adam. So on this note, we would like to say a very big thank you to the participants, to our speakers, most especially for having time sharing their knowledge with us, of which we can tap into. This was the very first edition of AYSD virtual seminar. We thank you very much, and we look forward to meeting you and hopefully a face-to-face or an in-person meeting. Connect with you, tap into your knowledge, and hear more about entrepreneurship and leadership. A big thank you to the organizers, a big thank you to our speakers, a big thank you to you all who participated, asked questions. Thank you very much, and we really appreciate it. So I'll call on my co-moderator, Kofi Achiman, to give us the closing prayer for today and any other announcements. Over to you, Ajiman.
Thank you, Priscilla. And once again, thank you all for making this conference very interactive, for making it educative and impactful. Yes, I believe we all have actually learned well. And please, at this point, let's have words of prayer and thank the Almighty God for picking us in. Our Lord and Master Jesus, we bless your holy name. We thank you once again. We say that indeed it has been a success, not only by our effort, nor neither mainly by our efficiency, but because of your grace. Therefore, we bless your name. We pray that as we have heard, may we go out there and live as we have heard. May we be doers of what we have heard, so that in every jurisdiction we find ourselves, we will indeed turn out to be the light of that jurisdiction. We thank you. We bless you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So it has been a wonderful time with everyone at the very first edition of the virtual seminar of African Youth for Sustainable Development. We wish to see you in future seminars, hopefully in person. Thank you very much. Good evening and enjoy your nights.